More than 100 people have offered their suggestions for the wackiest warning label. Bob has picked his top 5, and as I said earlier, he decided again he'd let you guys, our studio audience, vote to pick the winner. So he'll give $1,000 to the person who suggested the warning label that you pick. So who votes for the hot tub that says, avoid drowning? All right. Quite a few. How about the mask that says does not supply oxygen? All right, and the pen that says don't hold the cap in your mouth? It's not going to win. Or the bike company that puts on its brochure warns of dangerous activity that says all the kids pictured are professionals? So what wins?
In one of the closest votes ever, the grand prize and $1,000 goes to the person who sent us the dust mask.
All right. That's someone named Alex Sines from Dallas, Texas. And second place gets $500. That's what?
And that was the bicycle.
That's what I thought, too. The
stupid
bike ad. John Nevin, Holt, Michigan.
Holt, Michigan.
Congratulations. You get that money. But now, your questions for our guests. I'm going to start with one from my Facebook page for you, Philip. What's one answer? Should we demand, this is from Patrick McCall, demand sunset rules on all regulations and legislation?
Absolutely. Anything that has budgetary impact has to be reconsidered every 10 years or so, because it just piles up like sediment in the harbor, and pretty soon nobody can comply with any rule because there are too many of them.
But sunset rules are the exception now.
Oh, laws almost never sunset. You could count on one hand the number of federal laws that have expired.
Yes, sir.
What would you do to fix this problem of all this litigation?
One of the things is greater awareness. People are familiar with Thomas Paine, who wrote Common Sense and helped spur on the American Revolution. What he wanted to do was ignite public opinion to get involved. And what we're trying to do is the same thing in the 21st century. We want to motivate people to get engaged in the process, to think about the roles that judges play, so that when judges are elected or when they vote for legislators, they know these issues.
But you also have to change the structure. We have to give judges, among others, a different concept of what their job is. You know, if somebody brings a lawsuit for $50 million against their dry cleaner for a lost pair of pants, it ought to get dismissed in about 30 seconds.
But judges could do that. Why don't they?
They don't think it's their job. I once debated the McDonald's hot coffee judge. He said, who am I to judge? I mean, that is the orthodoxy in America. Judges have to act as gatekeepers for the rest of society. There are claims as a matter of law that are unreasonable, and they have to hold that right at the outset.
But judges aren't even on the radar screen for most people, and judges know that. So they know if nobody's paying attention, they can let these lawsuits go forward. So that's why public opinion is so important, to put the pressure on the judges to do the right thing that they're supposed to do.
Who's next? Yes, sir.
So as a believer in the markets, my understanding is that people acting in their own self-interest is a good thing. So, and it was actually mentioned at one point that these people are acting in their self-interest, they're not doing things for society's good, and that's bad. But I want to try to understand what's broken. So if all these guys are doing things in their self-interest, shouldn't there be someone else doing something else in their self-interest to stop them and everything works out?
Oh, there's a big difference. People are using law, which is state power. It's not freedom. It's just like it's like indicting somebody for money. So if you're going to go use state power where the marshal might come and take your home away, somebody on behalf of the state has to say, this is a reasonable claim or it's not. Otherwise, it's just letting some selfish person extort you using the hammer of the state.
I was once convinced by that. Like, the lawyers are an improvement over all this regulation. Instead of clumsy one-size-fits-all solutions from government, it's the individual lawsuit that feels like it's part of the free market and freedom. And in some ways it is, and they do some good, but they do much more harm. Yes, who's next?
Yeah, why are lawyers allowed to continue practicing law if they're bringing frivolous lawsuit after frivolous lawsuit? Don't these state bar associations take any disciplinary action against them?
Ha! No.
Right.
You know, ethics that used to be hard to get into good bar associations, now all you do is prove you have a law degree and you've never been indicted. I mean, it's really, anybody can make any argument. So bar associations need to stand for something. You're absolutely right.
I'm from New Jersey, and we also have bar associations, and we also have ethics boards. Neither one of them.
They don't do their jobs.
Go ahead. Sure.
Everybody is just discussing this for decades, whether it's tort reform or some other way of changing things. Why isn't anybody doing anything about it?
Politicians and political science will tell us that big change happens in big chunks. And it happens in our country every 30 or 40 years. Last time was the 1960s, when we woke up to lots of abuses like racism and gender discrimination, pollution, and other things, and we tried to fix them. We're at one of those periods in our country's history where we have to fix almost everything. It's just out of control. Regulations pressed down into people's daily lives, too much litigation, so much of it that John Stossel is one of the leading champions of fixing in this country. And that's why the group I chair, Common Good, is launching a campaign called Start Over. StartOver.org, because we're at one of those periods in history where we're going to have to fix this stuff finally. We can't stop talking about it, fix it.
And I would just add, I think it hasn't changed because nobody argues better than these trial lawyers. Practice makes perfect. They fight for a living. They use words, trickery, and deceit to win in court. They win in legislatures, too.
And they're investing a lot of money to get more laws on the books that allow them to sue for more reasons. The trial lawyers are the de facto third political party in America. They contribute so much money that it's hard to overcome the influence that they've purchased.
Thank you, Bob Dorigo Jones. Thank you, Philip Howard. Next, my take on lawsuit abuse.